Saving your first $1,000 feels different. Not because $1,000 makes you rich. It doesn't, but because for the first time, you open your bank account, and there's actually something there. You're not at zero. You're not waiting for your next paycheck just to breathe again. You have money, and that's exactly when people start making terrible decisions. Because when you had $20, there wasn't much to decide. But once you have 1,000, suddenly everybody has an idea for it. Your friend thinks you should invest it. TikTok thinks you should start a business. Your bank wants you to open another account. You start thinking about that phone you wanted, that trip, crypto, stock, paying off debt, maybe even rewarding yourself because, come on, you finally saved $1,000. And this is where saving money gets strange, because some of the worst decisions you can make with your first $1,000 look like good financial decisions. So before you touch that money, here is almost every way you can screw this up. And some of these are much more dangerous than simply spending it. The first mistake is the easiest one. You reward yourself. You hit $1,000 and immediately decide that because you were disciplined. You've earned the right to stop being disciplined. Maybe it's only $100. A dinner, no shoes, a weekend somewhere, nothing crazy. And mathematically, spending $100 isn't going to destroy your life. The problem isn't the $100. The problem is what you just taught yourself. You turned saving into a finish line. Save, hit the number, spend, start again. Save, hit the number, spend, start again. That is not wealth building. That is delayed shopping. Your first $1,000 should change your identity from, I'm trying to save money, to, I'm someone who keeps money. That distinction matters, because earning money is one skill, saving it is another, and keeping it, that's where most people lose. The second mistake is seeing $1,000 and suddenly becoming Warren Buffett. Yesterday, you knew nothing about investing. Today, you have a brokerage account open, 3 YouTube videos deep, and somebody with a Lamborghini in the thumbnail is explaining why one particular stock is about to explode. This is a dangerous moment, because having money creates the feeling that the money needs to be doing something. It doesn't. Money does not become useless because it sits still for a minute. Your first $1,000 does not need to impress you. It needs to protect you. Because imagine you invest the entire $1,000 today. Then next week your car breaks, or your laptop dies, or your hours at work get cut. Now you have two choices. Sell your investment exactly when you didn't want to, or go into debt. Congratulations, you technically became an investor. And financially, you moved backwards. Investing is powerful, but investing money that you may desperately need next Tuesday is not investing. It's putting your emergency fund on a roller coaster. And that brings us to the third mistake, putting the entire $1,000 somewhere you can't easily reach it. People hear phrases like, make your money work for you, and suddenly cash starts feeling lazy. So they lock it into something. Invest it, spend it on inventory, put it into a business, buy equipment, prepay something, anything except leaving the money available. But liquidity has value. Having money you can access today is a feature, not a failure. $1,000 sitting safely in an account might look boring, until life sends you an $800 problem. Then boring becomes beautiful. Your first $1,000 is not supposed to generate excitement. It's supposed to remove panic. That is its return. The fourth mistake is the opposite. You become so protective of the $1,000 that you refuse to use it for an actual emergency. This sounds ridiculous, but people do it. They finally reach 4 digits in their account and become emotionally attached to seeing that comma. Then something genuinely important happens. A necessary repair, a medical expense, an urgent bill, something that the money was literally saved for. And they put the expense on a credit card because they don't want their savings balance to go down. Think about that. You borrow expensive money to protect your own money from doing its job. An emergency fund is not a museum exhibit. You are allowed to touch it. The goal is not to preserve the number. The goal is to preserve yourself from financial chaos. If the $1,000 saves you from taking on expensive debt during a real emergency, then the money worked perfectly. You didn't lose your savings. Your savings did what you hired it to do. Mistake number 5. You decide $1,000 is enough. This one might be the most subtle, because getting from 0 to 1,000 is hard. And once you get there, your brain wants relief. Mission accomplished. Now we can relax. But $1,000 is usually not the destination. It's the first wall between you and disaster. A surprisingly thin wall. One serious car repair can eat it. One emergency flight can eat it. 1 month with reduced income can eat it. The point of saving your first $1,000 is not that you're finished. The point is that you finally have momentum. And momentum is incredibly expensive to rebuild once you lose it. So when you hit 1,000, don't stop the habit that got you there. Keep the automatic transfer. Keep the percentage. Keep the system. You can change the destination later, but do not switch off the machine. Then comes mistake number 6. You suddenly upgrade your life. This usually doesn't happen dramatically. Nobody saves $1,000 and immediately buys a yacht. It happens quietly. Your groceries get a little more expensive. You start ordering food more often. You take Uber because you have some money now. Maybe you finance a nicer car. Upgrade your phone. Add another subscription. Individually, none of these feels serious, but you've changed something much more important than your spending. You've increased the cost of being you. And once your normal life becomes more expensive, saving gets harder forever. This is lifestyle inflation. And lifestyle inflation is dangerous because almost nothing feels like inflation while you're doing it. It just feels like your life getting slightly better until your income goes up $500. And somehow you still have nothing left at the end of the month. The easiest lifestyle to afford is the one you never upgraded. Mistake number 7. You use the $1,000 as a down payment. This is one of my favorites because psychologically, it feels responsible. You don't have enough money to buy something, but you do have enough money to make the monthly payment possible. That is a very different sentence. $1,000 can suddenly become the doorway to a $20,000 obligation. A car, furniture, a phone, buy now, pay later, whatever. The $1,000 doesn't make the purchase affordable. It makes the purchase accessible. Those are not the same thing. And this is one of the strangest things about money. The more cash you have, the more debt people are willing to help you create. So never ask, can I make the down payment? Ask, do I want this thing taking money from every future paycheck? Because the down payment disappears once. The payment comes back every month like a subscription you can't cancel. Mistake number 8 is lending the money because you finally have money to lend. Someone close to you needs help, and you have $1,000. Technically, so saying no feels selfish. This is where money and relationships become messy, because your $1,000 may look like available cash to someone else, but they don't see what it represents. Maybe that took you 4 months to save, maybe 6. Maybe you skipped things for it, worked extra hours, changed habits. That $1,000 is not simply $1,000. It is months of your life stored in an account. So if you lend money from your emergency savings, understand what you are actually doing. You are transferring your safety margin to somebody else. Sometimes helping somebody is absolutely the right thing to do, but do it consciously. And if losing that money permanently would put you in danger, you probably cannot afford to lend it, because until money comes back, it is not your money. It is a promise, and promises do not pay emergency bills. Mistake number 9. You discover optimization. This is where people become financial engineers over $12. They move money between accounts, research interest rates for 3 hours, open 5 banking apps, watch videos comparing tiny differences in returns. And meanwhile, the actual behavior that created the $1,000 gets ignored. Saving. There's nothing wrong with getting a competitive interest rate. But early on, your savings rate matters far more than your ability to squeeze every possible cent out of a small balance. If you have $1,000 and find an account paying 1 percentage point more, you've improved your annual return by roughly $10. $10. But if you find a way to save an additional $50 every month, that's $600 a year. People love optimization because optimization feels intelligent. Behavior feels boring, but boring wins, especially at the beginning. Mistake number 10 is buying something that promises to make you money. A course, equipment, software, inventory, a camera, a laptop, a trading program, a business opportunity, And this category is dangerous because now spending sounds like investing. You're not buying a camera. You're investing in your content business. You're not spending $400 on a course. You're investing in yourself. Maybe you are, but changing the word does not change the transaction. The money still left your account. There is a simple question worth asking before spending your first $1,000 on something designed to make you money. Have I already proven that I need this? Not, could this help? Almost everything could help. Ask, what specific problem am I already experiencing that this purchase solves? Because buying equipment before you have customers is easy. Buying software before you have revenue is easy. Building the thing, finding customers, doing the work consistently, that's harder. And sometimes buying the tool gives you the emotional reward of progress, without requiring actual progress. Number 11. You copy somebody whose financial life looks nothing like yours. This happens constantly online. Someone says, I keep only $500 in cash. Everything else goes into the market. Sounds smart, until you learn they earn $15,000 a month. Have no debt, have excellent insurance, own multiple assets, and could access $20,000 tomorrow if something went wrong. Their $500 is not your $500. Financial advice changes depending on income stability, debt, dependence, insurance, location, health, and about 50 other things. So when somebody tells you exactly what to do with your first $1,000, including me, you should always ask, under what conditions is this advice true? Good financial decisions are contextual. $1,000 means something very different to a 17-year-old living at home than it does to a single parent whose rent is due in 9 days. Copy principles, not portfolios. Mistake number 12 is using all of it to pay debt without thinking. Now, if you have expensive debt, paying it down can make a lot of sense, especially high-interest consumer debt. But here's the trap. Imagine you have $1,000 saved and $2,000 on a credit card. You send the full $1,000 to the card. Your savings balance goes to zero. 3 days later, your car needs a $600 repair. Where does the $600 go? Right back on the credit card. You paid the debt, then recreated the debt, because you removed the buffer protecting you from debt. Sometimes the smartest financial move is not the mathematically perfect move. It's the move that makes your entire system harder to break. You need offense, but you also need defense. And now we reach one of the worst mistakes. Mistake 13. You start trying to get rich quickly because saving slowly feels too slow. This is the moment when $1,000 becomes dangerous, because $0 cannot chase opportunities. 1,000 can. Now crypto leverage exists. Options exist. Sports betting exists. Trading exists. Some random guy in a Discord server has a setup, and losing $50 doesn't sound terrifying anymore. You have 1,000, so maybe you risk 50, then another 50, then 100 because you need to make back the first 100. And suddenly something that took months to build disappears in an afternoon. There is a brutal psychological difference between earning money and gambling money. When you work 10 hours for $200, $200 feels expensive. When you stare at numbers moving on a screen, $200 starts looking like ammunition. Never let an app convince you that money stopped representing your time. It didn't. And mistake 14 may be the biggest one of all. You fail to ask what the $1,000 is actually for, because money without a job becomes temptation. If it is emergency money, call it emergency money. If it is the beginning of a larger emergency fund, define the target. If you have stable finances, and this is money specifically meant for investing, define that too. If you're saving for a car, education, moving, or something else, name it. Give the money a purpose before something else gives it one. Because there will always be something trying to recruit your $1,000. An advertisement, a friend, a market, a sale, a new obsession, a bad Tuesday, and if your money has no mission, the loudest thing in the room usually wins. So what should you actually do after saving your first $1,000? Probably something surprisingly boring. Keep it safe. Keep it accessible if it's your emergency buffer. Look at any expensive debt you have. Figure out what financial disaster is most likely to hit you next. Then continue saving. Not because $1,000 is insignificant. Exactly the opposite. Your first $1,000 might be the most important money you ever save. Because the first 1,000 proves something. Not that you're rich. Not that you understand investing. Not that you've beaten the system. It proves that your income can arrive. And some of it can stay. That sounds simple, but that is the foundation of almost everything that comes after. $10,000 starts with money staying. 100,000 starts with money staying. Investments start with money staying. Freedom starts with money staying. So when you finally see that first 4-digit balance, don't ask, what can I do with this money? Ask a better question. How do I make sure I never have to start from zero again? Because the first $1,000 isn't really about what you can buy. It's about what you no longer have to fear. And if you protect that, the second 1,000 becomes much easier.